All right, now we're going to talk about reference angles. The reference angle for theta is the acute angle theta prime formed by the terminal side of theta and the x-axis. So let's be clear. When we say theta, the one without a tick mark, that stands for the angle that's in standard position, the original angle that started at 0 degrees. When we put the little tick mark on it, we say theta prime, and that stands for this new thing, the reference angle. It's what connects, the angle that connects the end of theta to the nearest x-axis. Okay, so back to the definition. The reference angle is the acute angle. So it's less than 90 degrees, and it is formed by the terminal side, so the end side of the angle, and the x-axis. Never the y, always the x. Alrighty, so draw the angle in standard position and then label the reference angle theta prime. So we'll practice that first. So in standard position, everything starts at 0 degrees. 135 degrees is bigger than 90, but smaller than 180. So would be over here. So now wrong thing, one highlighter. The reference angles between where your angle stops and the x-axis. So the reference angle, theta prime, oops, back to pen. The reference angle is going to be here, theta prime, because the original angle, theta, was here. You don't need to label theta, but we do need to label theta prime. That's this green one over here to the side. All right, let's try again. 196 degrees in standard position. Starts at 0. 196 is bigger than 180, but smaller than 270. So it would finish over here in quadrant 3. Ooh, that's really messy. Try one more time, see if I can get it straighter. Nope. Oh well, is what it is. The reference angle is between where your angle stops and the closest x-axis. So the reference angle, I'm going to not do that one day. The reference angle is that acute angle right there. Okay, one more time. 325 degrees. In standard position, starts at 0 degrees. 325 is bigger than 270, but smaller than 360, so it'll be down here in quadrant 4. So that's our angle theta, all the way around there, 325 degrees. The reference angle is between where our angle stops and the x-axis it's closest to, which that time is over here on the right, and so that's theta prime right there. Okay, so what do we do with theta primes? Okay, well, first we're going to have to find out how big they are. So we're going to add one more step. We're going to draw the angle in standard position. So 63 degrees is smaller than 90, so it's going to stay here right away in the first quadrant. We're going to label the reference angle, so between where we stopped and the closest x-axis, so right over here. And then we're going to find the measure of that reference angle by subtracting the two measurements we have, the measurement where we stopped, 63 degrees, and the measurement of the x-axis we're touching, which happens to be 0. So we're going to subtract 63 minus 0. I know that seems really silly to do, but that's the process. So theta prime is 63 degrees on this picture. All right, let's try something not in quadrant 1. Let's try this 220 here. 220 is bigger than 180, but smaller than 270. our reference angles between where we stop and the closest x-axis. So right here. So how big is that? Well, we subtract our angle and the x-axis. The x-axis right there is 180 degrees, so we're going to subtract 220 minus 180. The difference is 40, and so our 40 degrees is the size of our reference angle. Okay, kind of out of space for 400 over there. Remember, if you have an angle that's bigger than a circle, then you have to first subtract 360 from it so you can figure out how to draw it. Well, let's try it. So if we subtract 360 from this, we realize we're trying to draw a 40 degree angle. So we'll draw a 40 degree angle in standard position, which is in quadrant 1. The reference angles between where we stopped and the closest x-axis. Well, we just, I forgot again. So our reference angle will be right here. So where we stopped is 40. The nearest x-axis is 0. So 40 degrees is the size of our reference angle. All right, 110. Starts at 0. Bigger than 90, smaller than 180. The reference angles between where we stop and the closest x-axis. So right here. How big is that? Well, we subtract where we stop and the x-axis. Okay. You can subtract in either order. You want to try to get a positive degrees. So this time, since I'm hitting 180, I'm going to put that first. That way 180 minus 110 leaves positive 70. If I happen to do it the other way around, I would just drop the negative because the reference angle is always positive. All right. If you have a negative number, I would encourage you to find the coterminal angle, add 360 to it, which is 215. And then answer the question using the positive 215. In standard position, 215 is bigger than 180 but smaller than 270, so over here. Between where we stop and the x-axis is right there. So the reference angle is right here. The size of the reference angle, we subtract the 215 and the x-axis we're touching, which is 180, which gives us 35 degrees for the size of our reference angle. Theta prime equals 35. Okay, last one, 315 in standard position is bigger than 270, smaller than 360. Between where we stop and the x-axis is over here, so the reference angle is over here. And this time we have to remember that this is 360 over there, so when we do our x-axis and our angle, we're subtracting 316 and 315. Remember, do big minus little, so you always get a positive answer. So you have a 45 degree reference angle. If you have questions, please ask in class.